Well, hello there, Minecrafters! Thanks for coming by. I wanted to show you something kind of cool that I accidentally stumbled across when I was building my map. And I'm calling it the Wither Trap, although you could use it with kind of any application dealing with the Wither. But let me show you how it works here. Press this button, it teleports us up into the Wither Trap. Now, where is the Wither? Because we see the Wither life bar up at the top of the screen, but... There's a sign that says, "Do not enter." What happens if we enter this glowstone square? Oh, there's Mr. Wither right there. Okay, yeah, it's a it's a player detected Wither spawner, and yeah, it's pretty cool because you do not have to place any soul sand or Wither skulls. Hey, buddy. And it's activated based on player range. Now you could actually put multiple withers on this if you wanted to put 2 or whatever, but if you're a map maker and you want to use this for your CTM map or your adventure map, or you want to wither and you don't want to have the player have to place the blocks, this is kind of a cool feature. The other thing is if you're in adventure mode and you misplace like a soul sand block, you can't really get rid of that, so this will help with that as well. The other thing is you don't have to do it based on player detection. You could do it based on like a button or something, but I'm going to show you how I kind of came up with this. You will need a couple programs. I'll leave them in the description, but let's get started and I'll show you this cool little feature. Okay, I've got some building materials here ready to go, but just before I get into that, like I said, you're going to need a few items. You're going to need Minecraft Forge. And we are in 1.6.1 up there in the top left corner. And they just came out with a 1.6 version of Forge, so it is apparently not stable, so to speak, but it does work. I've obviously working with it. I'll leave links to that in the description as well. You will need a program called NBTEdit, or I guess it's kind of a mod. It's the in-game version that works with Forge, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. I'm not going to show you how to install them. I'm sure you can figure that out. There are probably hundreds of videos. If you want the Wither to do that explosion effect, where it kind of goes from blue to black and then explodes when it spawns, you're going to need MCEdit, and you're also going to need a filter by SethBlink called Create Mob Spawners. But anyway, let's start here. Just at the basics here. If you look up any video on YouTube, how to spawn a Wither, they show you build a little T out of soul sand, and if you're in any other difficulty than peaceful, so let's go to normal, and you place 3 Wither skeleton skulls. There you go, there's that blue flickering explosion-y effect that I was talking about. You can spawn a Wither, so there you go, you can fight them, everything's all good. But with map making, obviously, there's that explosion, obviously it's not really ideal, because you want to come across to the Wither, just fight him. You don't want to have to actually place blocks, typically. And if you were to misplace a soul sand in adventure mode, you would not be able to break it. So that's part of the problem. Another issue I'll show you here is if you were to build a Wither in peaceful, and you can see it does not turn into a Wither. And if you change the difficulty setting with like a command block, no change. Some people have tried putting a piston and pushing a piece of soul sand into place, and you can see here it does not work. The player has to physically actually place the soul sand or the skull in order to spawn a Wither. So like I said, with map making, it's not really ideal. But there is another way. There's always another way. If you're familiar with monster spawners, the little cages, you've seen them in vanilla, they have skeleton, they have blaze, zombie, there's a few of them. But in other programs like MCEdit or NBTEdit, you can actually pretty much do any mob. I'm not entirely sure about the dragon, but I think any other mob you can do. And that's how this thing up here kind of works. So what we want to do is we want to give, and you put your name /give, whatever your name is. 52 is the block ID for the monster spawner. You place that, and it is a pig spawner, and in creative, that's basically as far as you get. But with a program like NBTEdit, you can change a whole bunch of settings about that thing, including which mob you want to spawn. So if I look at it and I press /NBTEdit, Press enter and it lights up with the red here, and now I can change a whole bunch of settings. So just at the bare minimum here, if I change pig to wither boss, and that's important here with the capital W and the capital B with no space, now we've got a cute little wither spawner. And this works just like any kind of regular wither or regular monster spawner. If I get rid of the light here, so if I set it to midnight, there we go. We've got a wither already in range. See, this is what I mean. If you don't use an MCEdit, he'll just spawn out as black and sort of like he's already done the explosion. But there we go. We've got a wither already in case, so you can use that. But there are a few other settings we can alter that can make it a little more specific. So let me just change the time back to light so we can see. And if I look at it and I press NBTEdit, we can bring up all the settings here and make some changes. Now, I'll go through these. This max nearby entities is how many of this, whatever is in here, in this case our wither, how many withers are around the spawn range that it will allow a maximum of. So in a custom map, typically with wither you're going to have one, although you may be a sadistic map maker and may put multiple amounts, but that's up to you. We're just going to put one because that's pretty much enough to handle for one player. The spawn delays here are what time, how long it takes between spawns for the cube to make another attempt. So I would recommend setting them very quickly. The lower the number, the quicker it is. And we're just going to keep it at 1, and it will constantly try and spawn. The player range here is how far away the player is from this, and in our case I'm going to set it pretty close for our testing purposes. So we got to be 3 blocks away from this for the wither to want to spawn. The spawn count is how many we spawn at one time. So like I said, if you're some sort of malicious map maker and you want to have 2 or 3 at one time, or as many, I don't know, 100, you can set that, but we're going to pick 1. And then the spawn range here is how far away from this our wither can spawn. So if we do that, now he's not moving. What I need to do is make sure that I am on normal or something other than peaceful. And I changed the time to midnight. And so now we've got no light. And as I approach it, we've got a wither spawning. So that is the other way that works. Now, there's some other things we can do. If I change it back to noon here, and I change it to peaceful. One other thing is, I'm going to show you with the lighting, is if you have, I believe it's a minimum of 6, you can set light on the spawner. So where are we? We've got, let's pick some glowstone. And I'm going to pick it there, and if I set the time to midnight, we can have light on it because this spawner block within 6 blocks around it in sort of a radius, it's going to look for a spot that is 7 lighting. So if you look at up there, you have block lighting 9. It's going to look for 7 at wherever it can spawn, and that's where it's going to spawn the entity. So if I get in range, I've tried it with 6. You can definitely do it with 7. And I'm not in different difficulties, so that could be why. There we go. We've got 1 spawned already. So 6, if you put light on top of it, 6 is the lowest it can go, and that is also how that thing works, because it works with daylight. But I'm going to get rid of that and just go back to peaceful. And I'm going to show you another little thing that's pretty... Oh, don't mean to do that. Set it so we can see. Now, we can also set where we want this mob to specifically spawn. So if I take... Let's do emerald. I really like green, so... And let's set our spawning place over here. Actually, let's make it a little bit higher. So let's go right here. Actually, we can't do that. There is a glitch with spawner that I'm having trouble with. Spawner cubes that once you get past 5 blocks above the spawn area, or if the cube is 5 blocks above or below, then it will not max out. It'll glitch out and it'll constantly spawn mobs no matter how many you set the max at. So we've got to set this fairly close. We can go. We should be able to go about that far, I think. And so I'm going to set them to spawn on this block here. And the way I do that is if I can land on it, I just need to set my spawn point. So I've set my spawn point, I fly up and I kill myself. This is the easiest way to get a good round number of spawn point. NBTEdit space me will bring up some information about the player, or you, whoever's playing. And our position here is our coordinates. So we don't have, if you don't set a spawn and kill yourself, you'll get a whole bunch of numbers. So that's probably the easiest way. Copy that. And now you have a tag there. Although I broke that. But what we can do is we can just go down here at the NBTEdit, and we can go over to the wither settings here. And what we want to do is we want to add this compound, and we want to title it spawn data. Now spawn data has to be actually in capitals and all that, in that spelling with no space. And then what we can do here is we can just paste the position. And there we go. What we can do is when it spawns here, now this is what is going. Our player range and lighting is all affected at this, not there. But basically, it spawns wherever it needs to, and then immediately kind of teleports to where we set that mob. So if I go to if I make it dark again, and I get in range, and I think I got to get it normal here. There we go. He's gonna spawn there. Now, if we have this at a low number, so if we have the spawn radius at a low number, I'm gonna set it to 3. They're gonna constantly spawn because it is checking around here, and since I don't see any, but we're spawning it over there. So you've got to kind of work together with where you set it, and they keep hitting each other, and how far you're going to spawn it. Okay? So I'm just going to explain what I did up there, how that kind of works. But let these guys fight it out. Alright, we're back in the wither trap here, and I just want to show you one last little thing here. I personally like player detection, like buttonless redstone, but if you wanted to rig it up with a button or any other manual way, you could do that here, simply like this, and there he is, he spawns immediately. Now remember, he's blue and flickering like that because I created him the conventional way, and then I used MCEdit with the filter to create the spawner. But it's pretty simple how you can do that. I'm just going to get rid of him so we can talk. I have a floating map here. This is typically how I like to make my maps. It does make it easier, I think. But down here the button is hooked onto difficulty easy, so that it doesn't matter if we're in peaceful or not, it's going to spawn. It goes to nighttime and then immediately goes to back to noon. Now I have the new daylight cycle rule on to always be set, so that is probably important because as soon as it gets nighttime, it's going to spawn if you're in range. So I would suggest putting that on. Now I had to keep the repeater at full ticks here. Anything less, it was a little buggy, but it switches from night to day. And under here I have the wither spawner. Now the settings, we have a few things here. We have player range. I have to be within 100, so we're definitely within there. The spawner can spawn the wither within 50 blocks, so definitely he can spawn anywhere he wants. And we also have the coordinates here set so that it only appears in this area. So the spawner will spawn it somewhere out there within 50 blocks, and then immediately it teleports to this area. That's how that kind of works. So the only thing that's missing is light from this, or darkness actually. And the way I achieve that is basically I change it to night. So You hit this button and it changes to nighttime and quickly back to day. And you could also achieve that by building a little box around it and some redstone lamps that turn on and off. The problem with that is you'd have to be pretty close to it for the wiring for it to immediately spawn. So changing it with a couple command blocks is the easiest way, I think. Detection wise, and I did a video on player detection, a clock, like an auto clock, just recently. Jesper the End kind of came up with this design, and I've used it over here. But basically, there's an item spawner up there when I get in range, goes on the plate there and sets it to nighttime and back to daytime. And that's how that works. So you can see it's pretty simple. You have your wither there. You don't have to place any blocks. We can fight him now. Oh no! But yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully that's pretty helpful. I'm definitely going to use it on my map. But anyway, enjoy your Minecrafting.